Okay, now modeling the ear can be a very complicated subject. So we have the reference prepared by Ryan Kittleson here from Erratic Imagery. Now the ear, right, has a very complex shape. It starts off from the inside. Okay, this one we call it the helix, okay, because it is spiral like a helix. And then there is this particular Y shape that you need to take note of. Okay, and if you look at the side view, everything looks pretty flat, but if you look at the front view, you can see that it follows a predictable path over here, and the Y shape, right, is matched along this shape here. So you can start off by modeling the base shapes here and take note of the inner folds here. Now there is a reference image which I downloaded, and this is what it looks like. So you can start off by building this shape. Okay, this is a relatively simple shape they can build in Maya, and by inserting another edge loop, right, you can create a curved or rounded shape. Okay, we'll start off by modeling this piece first, and then we'll try to transform this into the ear that we have. Now I already downloaded the reference image from Ryan Kittleson, so I'm going to be putting this in Maya. Now the reference is already square in shape, so we don't have to change the canvas size, so that if we create a square plane, this should texture map properly without any proportion issues. So going back to my character here, so we already done his head and his hands and body, but we still don't have his ears. So first I want to create a layer, a brand new layer. Or before I do that, let me just bring in the reference first. Okay, and let me just turn on the keyboard display, make sure that it's right on top. Okay, shift right mouse click and then create a polygon plane, and I'm going to reduce the subdivisions to 1. Right mouse click on it, assign a new material, assign a surface shader, click on the out color and choose file and pick the ear reference. Okay, I'm not sure whether I put the ear reference in my source images folder yet, so no, I did not. So I'm going to transfer that into my source images folder. So once I've done that, I should be able to get the ear reference image, which is there. So as I mentioned, because the image is square, so there shouldn't be any proportion issues. So I'm going to rotate this, holding down to J, clicking on the X axis, and then rotate it 90 degrees, and then just going to bring this up. For now, I'm just going to model this ear gigantic size for the time being. We can scale the ear down and stitch it to the head later on. So for me, I personally prefer to model with the ear pointing the other direction. So I'm going to rotate this again 180 degrees, holding down the J, and keep on rotating until you can see the grid lines evenly. So I know that now this is 180 degrees. So since this is the front view, I'm going to use the front reference here. I'm just going to put it right about here in the center line here, and then I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate this for the side reference. So I'm going to go to the right view. While this new duplicate is selected, press E to rotate, holding down the J, and rotate another 90 degrees. So if I go to perspective view, I should see the both references. So both of them are lined up properly now. So what I'm going to do is go to edge mode, insert edge loop, shift right mouse click, insert the edge loop, and then go press Q to select, go to face mode and delete away the side reference for the front view, and insert another edge loop here, right in the center, or rather right between the image line here. And then I'm going to select the face here and delete away the front reference. So now I got the side reference for side reference and front reference for the front reference. I'm going to push this reference back a little bit more. Okay, so it's behind the grid lines, and just make it stay where they're supposed to be. So I'm going to grab these two, go over to the channel layer box area, and then click on the add selected to new layer. I'm going to rename this layer as the ear reference, and then just save, and then I'll just put them in a locked mode so I will not accidentally move them. Okay, so now I'll just go to my right view, which is my side view, and I'll start to create the image which I was showing you earlier on, which is this reference here. Okay, so I'm going to create the Y, and I'm going to create the helix loop. Okay, so we'll start off by creating a plane surface again. So you just need a 1x1 side plane. So holding down the shift right mouse click and then create a polyplane, going to the subdivisions and height, middle mouse click and drag in the perspective view, and to get a single plane. From this plane, I'm going to just extrude to form the Y view. Okay, I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees and bring back my keyboard display again. Okay, so right now I've created the plane. I brought the plane up. I'm going to just rotate this so that the normals are facing me. So this one should be minus 90 degrees. Go to the side view, grab this plane, and we'll start by creating that helix. So the helix, right, I'm going to start from the inner side of the ear first. So I'll just go to the vertex, and I'll just split the layout views to two sides, two planes side by side, and change one of this view to the front view. And I need to change my shading to normal. Okay, so position the plane so that it is right about here. Now this helix here goes around from the outside, and then it twirls, and then it goes inside the head. So which is, you can see very clearly from here, and then it goes on the inside of the head cavity. So this plane, right, should start off from the inside, and then you gradually pull out the spiral. So I'm going to grab these two vertices first, and I'm just going to, from the side view, pull it back. And this, select these two vertices, position them like that. Going to edge mode, I'm just going to gradually extrude edge by edge. So shift, right mouse click, and then extrude edge. Extrude one edge here, and as I extrude it, go to the front view and then pull it out. So every time you extrude, make sure you reposition it. Press G again to extrude, pull out another section. We just want to create a rough block out model of the plane first, and use the rotation gizmo to reposition it. Okay, press G again to re-extrude and pull out another section here. Okay, we will fix this side here later, and make sure you create that spiral. Press G again to extrude. Okay, again press G again to extrude. So you can press W to move the plane, and any of the transform keys to get it into place. Then I'm going to press E, or sorry, R to scale up this a little bit. Press G again to re-extrude. Place this one here. You can rotate it this way, and you can scale it up. Rotate it here, and then press G again to extrude until you have a nice big face here, like so. So you can see from the perspective view, you created a spiral that is basically the framework of the ear. So right now I'm just going to do some adjustments. I'm going to assign the plane with the construction material that I've created for the body. So right mouse click, assign existing material, modeling material. Okay, which has some transparency applied. So I'm going to do some tweaking to it. I'm just going to grab the vertices, make sure that the width matches the width of the reference that I'm having here. And if need be, you can insert more edge loops around here. For example, I need a little bit more curvature here. So I'm going to insert one edge loop here. And while it's still being selected, you can press W to move it out. All right. So don't insert too many detail at this stage. You want to keep the framework as light as possible. Okay, so I'm satisfied with this. So let's now build the Y framework here. So I'm going to select this face, and I'm going to just detach this face, so that I've got an extra face that I can work with. Okay, let me just undo that. Maybe that's not a good idea. I'm just going to extrude one face from here, from the edge, and extrude one face, and later I'll detach this face and the mesh, and then detach it. So now I can use this face to create the Y shape. So for the Y, I can start off from the outside here. It's going to be connected to this anyway, so I'm just going to position the vertices right over the edges here, or rather the reference here, and then I'm going to basically create and extrude along this way, and then I'm going to break it into two junctions and then extrude it this way. Okay, so you can see from here, you will come out here to go this way and this way. So you can think of the ear as a question mark, a Y residing inside a question mark, or bass clef, if you understand musical notation. So grab this edge here, and we will just continue to extrude from here. Extrude the edge. Just pull out one edge here and just rotate this. Use your transform tools to make sure that it corresponds. So moving it out a little bit, it conforms to the reference. Press G again to extrude. And rotate again. And right here we come to an interesting point where we're going to split. So there are a couple of options. You can extrude from the side to form another Y, okay, or you can split this into the center and then extrude two sides. So I just want to keep the face count low for the time being. So I'm just going to extrude one section here. Okay, before I do that, I forgot to move the side of the new extrusion here. And now I can just extrude again. Scale this down a little bit and rotate it this way. Now if you are doing the ear for the first time, I can guarantee it can be very confusing the first time, but if you do it enough times, it should be second nature. Alright, so I'm going to just extrude another side here, this face, and I'm just going to extrude another edge so that I can branch out another Y shape. Okay, press G again to extrude. Position it correctly. Okay, I think this section should go in a little bit more. And finally, for this branch, I'm just gonna extrude one section here, and then finally for this section, the other branch of the Y, I'm just gonna extrude one more edge here, position it inwards, and press G again to extrude, and then this one has to go in a little bit, okay, because it flows inside, and same likewise for this edge here. It has to go inside like that. Okay, so if you go to the perspective view, this is what you will get. Okay, so you must create this basic framework for the ear, and then when we start to patch everything together, we can easily form the ear. Okay, the next stage here is I want to create that roundness of this ear. So to do that, you can't do it with a two-sided or a flat plane like this. So what I normally do is I just insert an edge loop in the center, and then I just pull it out slightly, and then you have that round look. So if I press number 3 to subdivide this now, everything looks nice, but it looks like noodles. It's very flat. So we need to insert an edge in the center. Okay, while the edges are still being selected, okay. Alright, we seem to have an issue here, maybe because just now I detached this face, so let me just undo that, and I'm going to reattach these vertices here again. So I'm just going to merge them, edit mesh and merge, and I'm going to redo my insert edge loop. Okay, again, insert the edge loop right in the center. Now this one follows through all the way. So while it is being inserted, it will be highlighted as white. So that means it's being selected. So all you have to do is just press the move and pull it out slightly, and then you can see the slight curvature of the ear. So you can adjust it. You can pull it a little bit more to give it that nice rounded look. You can do the same for the Y. Okay, that's the reason why I did not want to insert the edge loop at such an early stage. So I'm going to insert one edge loop here. Okay, while it's inserted, then pull it out. Now insert one more edge loop here. So that it flows all the way down, like so. So while it's being selected again, press W and then pull it out, so it has that curved look. So at this stage, you can continue to adjust to match the shape of your ear reference while it's being subdivided. You can see the ear is coming along fine. I'm just using the normal transform tools to move the framework into place. And because this is still relatively low resolution, I can easily position them without moving a lot of vertices. Okay, so some more fine tuning here. Okay, so the next stage is pretty straightforward. You just need to insert or rather patch the empty spaces together. Just make sure that there are enough corresponding faces that you can insert into it. So the next issue here is trying to get that deep groove inside. Okay, so before we do that, we just need to insert, or rather we need to bridge the sides first. So I'm going to go back to the unsubdivided version of the ear, and we'll just start to do the bridging. So select the opposite here, opposing edges, and then I'm going to bridge. So make sure you adjust your bridge settings to one subdivisions. Just press G. Okay, so if you don't have enough subdivisions here, for in this case here, you just need to insert an edge loop. Okay, just while it's selected, bump the edge loop out a little bit. Now you have the enough subdivisions to just bridge them together. Select the opposing faces and shift right mouse click and then bridge. Do the same for this one. And again, let's see how we're going to bridge this. We need to insert one edge loop here. And then we can bridge these two here. Okay, hold on to shift, hover over the edges that you want to bridge, right mouse click and then bridge. Okay. So for this section here, I'm just gonna spread out these vertices a bit. Definitely need more vertices here and sections here. Same for these section here. So definitely we need to cut more edge loops here. About 1, 2, and 3. So that is quite a lot. We'll try to fix that later. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I made a mistake here. Every time I insert edge loop, I should adjust this to make it rounder. And reinsert again, and then use the transform tools to move them. Press G to reinsert again. And use the transform tool to make it rounder. Okay. Again, using my in this case, I'm going to use my modeling toolbox here and use the stitch target weld. So go to vertex mode, just target weld, grab over the vertices and target weld the vertices. Alright, and this one I'll just target weld it here. Again, using the insert edge loop tool. This one edge loop here, one edge loop here. Switching back to vertex and using the target weld. And just stitch everything back together. So the rest is simply patching out all the holes. Okay, we need another edge loop that runs across here. So go to edge loop, insert edge loop, and then we can easily patch these holes here. Alright, so later all these faces you have to select and then just shove it in so that it has that deep cavity. So select these opposing edges and then just fill hole. Sorry, not fill hole, bridge. So bridge. And this one is a complete hole. Double click will select a continuous edge loop and then just use the fill hole method to fill it up. Okay, now we are left to this stage here. Okay, for this one, let's see how the edge flows. We're definitely gonna cut a few more edge loops. Okay, for now I'm just going to select this two opposing edge here and then just gonna fill it up, or rather bridge them first. And I think this one is already four-sided, so we can easily fill the hole. So we got that fixed. Okay, it's not the best topology that I like around here, but that'll do for now. I'm just going to move this and rotate this. Okay, so we are left with this section here. We'll create a huge edge, run a edge loop here to patch around this area. Okay, but again, let's just study how the whole thing goes. Again, I'm just going to try to reduce the use of creating edge loops by just patching and bridging along the way. Okay, I think this looks good. And I think we can patch here. Oops, not meant to fill hole, but to bridge. And that's pretty much it. Now we're left with this section here. There's this fleshy part of the ear that we need to extrude out. So we're going to start off with this edge here, and then I'm just going to extrude one edge. Scale this down for now. Rotate and then position it into place. Press G again to extrude another section. Okay, this is bulging out, so I'm going to pull it out slightly. And then press G again to extrude, pull another section down, and then pull this down. Okay, so for these two edges, I'm just going to bridge them for now. And the basic framework of my ear is done. Okay, so there are definitely areas which we need to push in to create a cavity, but the basic shape of the ear is out and is coming along nicely. Okay, we have some issues here. I think there's a double extrusions here, so you can see by subdividing, right, you can fix some issues here. So I'm going to delete away this face. There's a hidden face here, I think. This one, yeah, that's causing the issue there. And I'm just going to try to fill the hole here now again. Okay, maybe the vertices are not matched. Okay, there's another tiny hidden face over there. So let me just temporarily delete away this face and get rid of this face. So sometimes when you're doing this kind of work, you will encounter this problem. So I'm going to bridge and finally fill the hole here. And if I subdivide this again, yep, I don't have this issue anymore. Okay, so now that we have this basic structure, okay, creating the ear hole cavity, because we created this gap, or rather this hole around here. So to create the ear hole, all you need to do is just select the edge around here. Then okay, so the orientation of the hole looks a bit odd, so I'm just going to scale them in like this, and holding down the shift right mouse click, going to extrude, and then you can just pull in the ear hole. You can just use the global axis and then pull it in, and usually the ear cavity has a slight angle that goes in like that. Okay, so we have the ear cavity now. Now the next part is to try to push in all this cavity here. So if you have enough faces, you can grab the faces and then push it in, but if you don't have it, you can always extrude. So I'm going to select the faces that represent the cavity. Okay, for example, this row of okay, not this one, this row of faces here, I want them to form the cavity of the ear. So I'm going to select these faces, and then eventually I'm going to push or rather extrude another section to really push it in. So now these faces are now selected. Then I'm going to hold down to shift right mouse click and then extrude the face using the global axis, and I'm going to push it in. So now I have the defined cavities of the ear. Of course, you have to do a bit of tweaking in order to smooth out the curvature of the areas, but this is basically the simplest looking, or rather to me this is the more straightforward way to create the ear. Okay, naturally you still have to tweak it if you want to smooth it out a little bit. So you can use a combination of tools. You can use the smooth tools in the sculpt for Maya, right, to smooth things out a little bit. Okay, for example, these two vertices, I want to take them out. I do not want them to go in so deep, so that it will transition nicely and smoothly into the ear. You can try to select the inner faces and then try to scale them down a little bit, so that they don't meant to select both these faces and then scale them down, so that they do not have such harsh edges. You transition down smoothly. Okay, and these faces here, I'm going to scale them slightly and then just move it in. Okay, actually I could have used the inset earlier on to scale them down, but anyway, since I'm at this stage, I'm going to do it like that. So I have my ear. Definitely, if you want the ear to look good, you have to spend the time to tweak it further. Alright, there's no shortcut around that. Okay, but I satisfy the condition. I have the helix. If I go to the front view, okay, it has the shape of the ear that I want. Okay, so now comes to the tricky part. How do I create the back side of the ear? Before I do that, I need to round off this area. I got a lot of sections here that I need to round off, so I need to move these vertices so that it forms the earlobe. So the earlobe is this fleshy part of the ear that needs to be rounded off. So using the extra faces that I have here, just going to move them into place and form the nice earlobe. Okay, so how to create the solid ear? Because right now the ear is paper thin. If I were to go to the material attributes, just pump out the. Okay, let me just delete the history first, because there's plenty of history that I have not deleted yet. Remember to save. I just increment and save this. Okay, and I'm going to make this solid again. Okay, so you can see I have the ear, but it is paper thin. Alright, I want it to be to have some thickness or definition to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this outer edge from this edge all the way to right down to the earlobe here. So select this edge. We'll move halfway first. Shift, double click, so it travels to this edge. Then shift, double click, you travel down to this edge. Then shift, double click. So you select this edge around here like that. Let me just go to perspective view so that you can see a little bit better. So with this edge selected, all you need to do is just hold down shift, right mouse click, and then extrude the edge using the global axis and then pull in. Okay, I'm going to use global axis, not the extrusion normal, and then just pull in slightly. So now you have some thickness for the ear. I'm going to repeat the extrusion again. Press G to repeat extrusion again using the global axis, and then just pull in another section like that. Right. So you can see now I can create the thickness of the ear. So the next step is pretty straightforward. I'm just pulling out a little bit more. Just use the scale, uniform scale, and scale it inwards. And not this much, okay, maybe like that, and then with the extrusion you just push it in slightly, and then you have the ear. Okay, now you have the gap here. You can just reposition it manually, grabbing all these vertices so that you can stitch it to the ear or the side of the face later on. And our earlobe is also more or less fixed. Okay, there are sections here that you need to move around so that you can create the interior sides. Okay, so using this method, I avoid just selecting all the faces and extruding to create the thickness, which will give you double the amount of vertices to manipulate and move, which is not a very, very good idea. Okay, so obviously the ear still can be tweaked in order to get the shape that you want, but generally this is how you create the ear. So right now I'm just going to unhide everything and just duplicate this first, put it next to our guy, and scale it down and see how it looks on him. So just make sure you scale it down to the right size and proportions, and then just move the ear to the correct position. And I think I managed to get the scale just about there. And I'm gonna edit, duplicate, special, create another ear for the other side. Let me just delete this. I'm gonna freeze the transformations and duplicate special again. I already got a setting to duplicate in the Y, or rather the X-axis. So now he's got ears. Not the most fantastic looking ears, but for the amount of time that I spent on this, I think this is good enough. So what is left right now is the stitching of the ears, the hands to the arms, the ears to the head, and the head to the neck. And then our character is pretty much done, and then we can start to add other details like the clothes, accessories, and so on. So this is how you block out and model the ear.